welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Michael, Kevin Jank.
Yeah, I'm here to drop knowledge like gamma bombs.
Yeah,
and all the people.
Kind of like the gamma bombs. That's what this issue is about. Tell the kids what we're reading.
We're going to be reading Incredible Hulk number 345, and by gonna be, I mean we already read it because otherwise it'd be weird.
That's what we did. I read this last night, and I was falling asleep as I was reading it. It was so long. Good Lord.
Yeah, it's a little oversized.
I was like,
I don't know why they didn't save that for number 350, but, you know, they decided to celebrate the anniversary a little early. Yeah.
Strange. The creators here are Peter David and Todd McFarlane. We've talked about them countless times on the show, but we'll talk about them a little bit more when we're done with the book. And
I wouldn't say countless times. I mean, we talked about them. Peter David maybe, but Todd McFarlane, there was the other Hulk issue we did, and I don't think, did you do any McFarlane Spider-Man or anything?
Yeah, with Larry we did one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, it's been several times with McFarlane. But, plus, I'm also thinking of all the, what was that show we used to do with Mike L? Spider-Cast?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Because we talked about McFarlane on there several times. That when I was on.
Yeah.
And,
that's true.
So,
I did as well.
All right, let's get into this. Of course, everyone knows the Incredible Hulk. Now, you're a big Hulk guy.
Yes.
You love
Specifically, this era of the Hulk was definitely my jam. The Peter David era was phenomenal. Ever since then, it's been kind of an up and down roller coaster, and really never hit the great heights of this era for me. But some of the other runs have been all right, and then some of them have just been god awful.
Now, what overall made this so memorable for you, this run? Because Peter David, we might as well mention now, he had like a 12-year run on Hulk. Yeah,
he sure did. I think he was there from like 329 to maybe like 460 or something like that.
Well, I have it right here. His first issue was 328, but then he skipped a couple and he started in earnest in 331. And then he missed issue 360.
Yes, I remember that. Bob Harris wrote that one for some reason. I remember.
Yeah. And then he kept going until issue 467. So, yeah, 12-year run on the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. It's pretty solid. It's a long run, which is what I appreciate. And the best part about that is he is a guy who works best in long runs. Like, he sets things up and then doesn't pay them off for like 50 issues. Which is a luxury that most writers do not have.
Yeah, you could tell in this issue he was setting things up.
Yeah, setting up a lot of characters that will end up coming to play later on.
All right, so that's really is what drew you to the Peter David rating here on the Hulk, just the long-term storytelling.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. And also, he took... Over his time on the Hulk, it was not the typical, like a lot of writers nowadays especially, they're like, all right, we're going to take the Hulk back to basics. He's going to be a fugitive just on the run, and he's going to be, you know, going from town to town, getting in misadventures. It's basically just the 70s show all over again. Yeah. It's like, well, that's been done. Let's not do that. His run was very much not that. The Hulk took some weird turns. Obviously the Gray Hulk he came in kind of when the Hulk was gray. And, you know, he ended up having that Gray Hulk become a leg breaker for the Mafia in Vegas and stuff like that for a whole era.
I've never read any of that. Joe Fixit, right?
Yeah, Joe Fixit. Yep. So he did that for a while. Then they decided to have like, Doc Samson like merge the Hulk, like all three personalities, like the id, the ego, and the superego, which was like, you know, Bruce Banner, the Gray Hulk, and the Green Hulk, and make one new combined, you know, Hulk, which was the smart Professor Hulk. And then that Hulk like joined up with like some weird Greek-based superhero team that was made up of immortal beings and stuff like that.
What?
And, called like the Pantheon. And, so he was kind of working with them for a while, like being just kind of a hero in an army type thing. And yeah, it just went in so many different directions. And, by the end of it, like it really started there was a whole period like when Heroes Reborn happened that the Hulk and Bruce got separated, and Bruce went into the Heroes Reborn universe, but the Hulk did not. So the Hulk was basically left on Earth just dying because he didn't have Bruce Banner. And, like things started getting weird. Like he accidentally crippled Rick Jones and,
finally,
backhanded him into the wall, like into a brick wall.
It's all Rick Jones' fault. All this started. There's that creep going out to play his harmonica on the nuclear testing range. Remember that?
Yeah.
Bruce Banner had to go out there and save him, and oh my goodness, stinking Rick Jones. Hey, Rick Jones, he's always popping up everywhere. He was Bucky for a while. Remember that? He was like the second Bucky.
He was like Captain Marvel's counterpart in this reality. They would swap places.
Yeah. Man, he's like the Forrest Gump of Marvel Comics.
For a while. Yeah. He really was. He was like the pivotal piece of the Skrull-Kree War.
Yeah, without Rick Jones, there's no Avengers either, right? He's the one who radioed all the heroes because Hulk was on the loose or something, and right? Isn't that how the Avengers started? I believe so.
I mean, you and Mike L were always dripping on poor Rick Jones, but I fucking love Rick Jones. He's great.
You love Rick Jones.
He like married the Hulk's, the Gray Hulk's girlfriend from Vegas. Fucking
wow. So he's not scared at all.
Yeah. All right. The Hulk sloppy seconds there.
All right. Well, we might as well mention Todd McFarlane here. He is the artist, and he drew Incredible Hulk 330 to 334, and then 336 to 346 from 1987 and 1988. So what do you remember? I remember his issue with Wolverine.
That is a classic. That's a great cover right there. That's been homaged many times.
He actually took it from Art Adams. Remember, like Mike L and I realized this when we were doing the Black Widow issue of Marvel Fanfare. Apparently, Art Adams did a cover very similar to that, and then Todd McFarlane kind of borrowed it. It's still a great cover. Great cover.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. I mean, I've loved his era. I really like his Gray Hulk. I thought it was cool looking. We'll talk about his leader here. This is kind of a different era for the leader.
Yeah. Not a fan.
I loved it. This was a good time. The Hulk kind of had a real good string of artists here. I mean, it was kind of a lull after McFarlane for a little bit, but then, got like Dale Keown and Gary Frank and Liam Sharp, and there were some great ones there. Adam Kubert.
I didn't know there's two in the middle there. I don't know those guys. But, I am not a fan. When I was a kid, I loved McFarlane when I was like 12 and 13. But now, and I just remember all the old artists saying, oh, this guy can't even draw. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's great. Again, it's similar to Rob Liefeld in that respect. And then, as I get older, I'm like, I hate McFarlane. I just despise it. It hurts my eyes.
I don't get that. I still find it to be very good looking. I could watch this all day.
So many meaningless lines, just everywhere.
Yeah, but that makes it look better.
To you,
it looks so much detailed.
Is it detail or is it just clutter? That's what you really got to ask. I don't know.
It's adding to the overall feel, though. It makes it look more like a real thing.
No, none of his stuff looks real at all. It's all cartoony and pudgy and bloated and. His humans don't look anything like humans for the most part.
Sometimes they get a little cartoony, but I appreciate that. It kind of makes people look different. Like you can tell like who's Bruce Banner and who's Rick Jones. Like they look
Bruce
different.
Banner has glasses. That's how you know. But I don't know. Not a fan. We'll get into that later. All right, so Incredible Hulk, of course, his real name is Robert Bruce Banner.
That's right.
Cool. Apparently, he that was revealed that his first name was Robert back in Fantastic Four in like the early '60s. I had. But the Hulk.
And then they changed it to Dave Banner on the show for some reason. They couldn't even just call him Robert.
Well, because they actually no joke. They thought it sounded too gay. Like
I knew that. But then why didn't you go with Robert? Like if that's already established canon.
They like David.
Robert.
Just like David.
Also the same thing.
Yeah, I'm guessing they didn't know his name was Robert. The people.
Nobody actually read the comic before making a TV show based on it.
It's not like they always call him Robert in the comic. Like he's always Bruce Banner in the comic books for the most part.
Oh, yeah. Everybody calls him Bruce.
So anyway, his first appearance was the Incredible Hulk issue 1, 1962, and of course he's created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Lee drew inspiration from Frankenstein and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Now, of course, he started out as gray. Jank, do you know the story about him being gray?
I know why they changed it, I think, but yeah, I think it was just basically it was cheaper at first, like to make him gray.
Yeah, I guess Lee said his first idea was he didn't want him to be associated with any nationality or race, so he wanted gray, but they had trouble keeping the gray consistent in the printing process. So sometimes it'd be too dark, sometimes too light, and sometimes it turned out green. So when Stan Lee saw the green, he's like, let's just keep him green. So they kept him green. And they
it does make sense if you're making a monster based off of radiation. Like, yeah, like a glowing incandescent green is kind of, makes sense.
It's such a huge deal too. Like, think of Hulk if he was gray. All that, like, yeah, it would make no sense. Like, green is just synonymous now with Hulk. It's just like it works well.
So true.
But what was I going to say here about the? Actually, for many years they would go back when they did reprints of those early issues. Because the first Incredible Hulk series only lasted 6 issues.
Yeah.
And then it got canceled.
Very short.
Yeah. But Hulk appeared in the Avengers, and then he made some appearances in Fantastic Four, where they revealed his name was Robert Bruce Banner. Then he was had an appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man. And then it was like a year and a half or so after he was canceled, Jack Kirby got a letter from a college student who said that the Hulk is very popular on their campus, and they named their team or whatever the Hulks after him, like he was their official mascot or whatever. So Jack Kirby took this to Stan Lee, and he said, hey, this Hulk there, he might be popular on the college campuses with the kids, So Stan Lee said, all right, well, let's bring him back. So they made him a regular in Tales to Astonish, and he started in there with issue 60. There'd be like 2 stories every issue. He was always one of the stories. And then that series ran until issue 102 in April 1968. So he was in there for like 4 years. And then Tales to Astonish just got renamed The Incredible Hulk Volume 2, and they just picked up the numbering from 102 and boom, kept rolling. And that Hulk series ran until 1999.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know why it ended in 99?
There really was no good reason. Unlike Heroes Were Born, it was just kind of arbitrary. I believe Peter David had left a couple issues before, then Joe Casey came in for maybe 6 to 8 issues, not very long at all. And then John Byrne took over, I believe, as writer, and they just decided to reboot it with a new number 1. I think it was just because it was starting to take off. Like, they were starting to do that with things like Amazing Spider-Man did it. I think both of the Spider-Man books that survived did it. It was just this was the start of let's try launching new number 1s just to get a slight boost.
Yeah, he got relaunched as just Hulk number 1. No Incredible anymore, just Hulk. I like the Incredible Hulk. Amazing Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk. I like that kind of stuff.
Mighty Thor, the Invincible Iron Man. It's always nice to have those little qualifiers.
Uncanny X-Men. That was a beauty.
Yep.
All right, so the Hulk, though, getting back to his coloring there, when they went back and they reprinted those early issues of the Hulk, they colored him green. They got rid of the gray entirely. And
changing the story.
Well, they kept doing that for years. So in canon, he was always green, I guess. But then in 1984, around there, they quit doing that and they left him gray. And then that got worked into his origin. So it was really until the 80s when they quit doing that. So that's weird. I had no idea.
I guess when they brought the Gray Hulk back, they're like, well, we have to let Canada know that this was the thing before.
Yeah, so then now they embraced the Gray Hulk stuff. But for a while there, they were, pretending it never happened. It's just a mix-up at the printers. But
under the rug.
Yeah. So good old Gray Hulk. Now, what's for the kids that don't know, what's the usual difference between Green Hulk and Gray Hulk in the, besides coloring?
Yeah, the Green Hulk is more like just the childhood rage of Bruce Banner, kind of his very childlike form, like it's just kind of like a little boy who was beaten by his father relentlessly, just mad at the world and, kind of wants to be left alone, just wants everyone to leave him alone. He's the very simple Hulk you always see where he can't really talk in full sentences. He's just like Hulk smash and that kind of thing. Whereas the Gray Hulk is kind of, I believe they've said he's like the representation of all the, more darker or sinister or adult urges that Bruce Banner felt when he was growing up. Because Banner was always, he's very repressed. Like, even with Betty, he's just, very nerdy and like very repressed. Because any like sexual thoughts he was like afraid to really embrace because of, you know, his father, basically, because his father was such an asshole. He was like, I don't want to show any emotion or ever go down that path because I don't want to be like my dad. So he just kind of suppressed all of those emotions, and all of that kind of formed the personality of the Gray Hulk, where the Gray Hulk is obviously much smarter than the Green Hulk, and also much cruder and violent and amoral in certain ways. Like, he's not a full-on villain, but he you know, he's not afraid to just, you know, flat out do some bad things if they're in his best interest.
It also seems like, well, the Gray Hulk physically, he looks different. Like, his head is flat. Usually they depicted a flat head, and like his nose is way up high, sort of between his eyes, kind of. And
he also not nearly as invulnerable as the
that's
Green
what
Hulk.
I was going to bring up. Yeah,
he
the
doesn't
Green Hulk
factor, but you know, so he can heal his wounds pretty well. But he does tend to bleed green blood a lot.
Yeah, like Wolverine, he couldn't cut Hulk, right, when he was green. Like,
yeah, I don't think so.
But yeah, Gray Hulk, he could slice him up. So
yeah,
how about
maybe
that?
for some interesting storytelling differences there for sure.
Yeah, I remember, didn't Wolverine say? Because I read that issue because I was a big Wolverine mark back in the day, and I own that issue. I think I still do. But didn't he say that he thinks the Hulk has cancer?
That could be. He definitely thought that something was. You could tell something was wrong with the Hulk because he's like, this, you know.
It's like his cell, he said he could smell something, and like his cells are multiplying too quickly or something. I don't know, something like that. But I'll have to go back and read that. What issue was that? It was a 340, I believe.
Yeah,
off the top of my head.
I believe that's right.
All right. Anyway, so here we're at 345, and the villain in this book is, of course, the Leader. You mentioned him earlier. Now, I love the Leader because he's just a guy with a really big head. That's his superpower. He's just got a big brain. He's the Leader.
Yeah, he's one of the two, I would say, main Hulk villains. You got your Leader, who's like the smart one, who, you know, got gamma powers and it made him super smart.
The second one? Can I guess the second one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Abomination.
Yep, that's right. The flip side of the coin, who's, you know, the Hulk's kind of equal physically.
Yeah, I'm not up on my Hulk. I didn't read a lot of Hulk when I was a kid, so, you know, it's all just vague stuff. But I'm way into that Hulk cartoon from the 1960s.
Yeah.
So there's an episode of The Leader. I love it so much. But the Leader's real name is Samuel Stearns.
Yes,
no idea.
That's correct.
And his first appearance.
He's the maintenance man.
That's right. He was a lowly maintenance man at a chemical plant, and there's a mishap, you know. And then the cartoon, they say because of his own mistake. So, you know, they blame the Leader for doing it. But he got bombarded with gamma radiation because of the mishap at the factory there, and his head got real big. Now, in the old days, his head went vertically, straight like a cone head.
Yeah, it still kind of does in this version, but not as
this
much.
one is just like he's got a big swollen brain.
Yeah,
like his head's like brain.
It sounds as erotic as it sounds.
I like the tall, vertical cone head better than this squat mushroom brain. But
yeah, well,
it's me.
This is a different era for the Leader. I kind of like it. I like
this
whole look, this orange suit, and the swollen testicle head,
and like a porn star mustache as well.
Yeah,
it's very strange. His first appearance was Tales to Astonish, issue 62, 1964. So, like the third issue there. Hulk was 60, 61, 60. So the third issue of Hulk and Tales to Astonish was the Leader, and he was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Now, the Leader's just really smart, and his big brain. He always comes up with little schemes, and he wants to capture the Hulk. Why is he so mad at the Hulk? Like, what's the origin of this hatred?
Origin of their beef?
Just the gamma radiation thing?
It seems like, the gamma people always tend to interact with each other there. I know recently, at the end of like Immortal Hulk, in the final issue, there were some weird flashbacks to like the 1800s that kind of made it seem like the Stearns and the Banner families, were one at one point back in the day. Like maybe there was like a brother situation that like got disowned, and that brother went on to become Samuel Stearns' father or something.
Wow, what are the odds that those two families from the 1800s would have ancestors who would both be bombarded with gamma radiation in separate incidents?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
A small universe, apparently.
Who gave that the green light? But all right,
yeah.
so
I guess it's one of those things where it's just like, this guy's he's my exact opposite. He got intense strength, so I should go after. Although why doesn't go after the Abomination? I guess that's a good question too.
Maybe he wants to study the Hulk to as like a scientist. That's what he wants to maybe. I don't know. But anyway, I like the leader though. He's pretty cool. Now he can do all kind of like mind tricks too, right? Like illusions.
Yes, especially during this era, for sure he can, because he's a little amped up from his more recent transformation here. So he's definitely got some extra power.
Oh, so the way he looks now, it's like it's been written into the story, like something happened that changed him, or is this? I thought this was just artists.
No, he actually he had lost his powers completely. Like he was drained of all of his gamma radiation. I forget exactly how, but he was just back to being normal Sam Stearns. And then there was the whole thing where the Hulk and Bruce Banner were separated. Then they realized, they can't live apart, so we have to combine them again. But like General Ross kind of fucked up the whole thing, and Rick Jones ended up falling in the tank, and so he became the Green Hulk, and that's when Bruce Banner became the Gray Hulk. Like they both kind of got half of it, essentially. So after that, at some point, like they were going after Rick Jones, the Green Hulk, and Sam Stearns managed to get a hold of him and drain the gamma radiation out of him and give it to himself. So he got re-leadered up, and that's when he got the upgrade here to look like this.
Oh, okay. Well, at least that makes somewhat sense. I thought this was just McFarlane messing around.
No, this was actually, storyline. Even when McFarlane leaves, he still kind of looks like this for at least a while.
Also, there's some other characters in here. Betty, what's her?
Ross. Yeah, Thunderbolt Ross's daughter.
And, Thunderbolt Ross, he becomes the Red Hulk, right?
Yeah, way down the line. Yeah. And she becomes the Red She-Hulk at one point.
Oh, that's right. I forgot there's a Red She-Hulk.
Yeah. And she's also the Harpy back in the day, and then I think at one point she becomes the Red Harpy. Because she's like, let's make everything red now.
I remember we talked about this on some previous episode of the show.
The last time we did the Hulk.
Yeah, because man, that Betty Ross, I keep thinking Betsy Ross, she made the flag.
Yeah, very close.
But this Betty Ross, she had quite the life then after this, the Harpy and all that. Like, she ended up dying, right? Didn't she?
At the end of whatchamacallit, like Peter David's run, she died, and seemingly just of exposure to gamma radiation. So the Hulk obviously blamed himself, and his final issue was basically Bruce trying to deal with that and basically just keep trying to kill him. Like he was keep trying to kill himself, but the Hulk just wouldn't let it happen. It was it was a good
story for children.
I mean, it was really good. It's like really emotional and very well written. But it turns out in the end that it wasn't like exposure to him that did it. It was the Abomination had dosed her basically with gamma radiation.
It was her microwave at home. It had a leaky seal when she got to from. So all right. So that's anything else we need to know about the Hulk backstory for this, or are we good?
I think we're good. There's some other things we'll probably talk about during the issue.
All right, let's look at this cover. Todd McFarlane cover. You swooned for it. I have mixed feelings. Why don't you describe it for the people?
I mean, your assessment of Todd McFarlane's style aside, you got to admit at least the framing of this is pretty great. It's been duplicated. Yeah,
it's a great cover. Explain it though, like what the concept is.
Yeah. So basically we got a very tiny corner box up in the corner there. No pictures or anything, just a kind of yellowy Marvel and the number and that kind of stuff. And then it's mostly just cover here. We got big purple background. And we got a good shot of the Hulk kind of squeezing his way through his own title. So he's got one hand kind of pushing the H aside, one hand pushing the Hulk aside, and his head just kind of trying to poke through. And, down at the bottom, we got the letters for the Incredible. They've already been knocked down. They're just kind of laying there on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the concept. The idea is great. The top half of it I enjoy quite a bit. The bottom half is where things fall apart with the legs of the Hulk. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, he's got some good
Look at his
thunder
calves.
Yeah.
Look at his calves. It's like later stages of. He's retaining a lot of water in his legs from not so good. But yeah, and then like the perspective on the legs is all messed up. Like the front leg, like the position of the left leg is a train wreck. How is that attaching to a hip? But anyway, so it's McFarlane doing what McFarlane does, style over substance, you know. But hey, what can you say? I guess it's good. But he's got 1,000 lines in his face.
Oh, haircut.
Yeah. Do you like the Gray Hulk? Like the heavy brow and the flat head, and do you like or do you prefer the Green Hulk?
I like them both. It's hard to say which I like better. It's kind of like Wolverine's costumes. It's like I like them both. I appreciate them being different for sure. Like they could have just made him look exactly like the Green Hulk, but they did make him look a little more sinister and a little more, I don't know, like more of a brute, I would say. So I appreciate that. I think it's fitting.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice choice there to make them two distinctive looks, not just recoloring the same guy. So, but I probably like the classic green better. But you know, he also has blue pants. Like old school Hulk had purple pants. You know?
Yeah, he switched it up. I guess the reasoning behind that would be mostly he's wearing, when he's Bruce Banner these days, he's kind of wearing that Hulkbuster suit that he's got on that has blue pants. So.
And also another better explanation for that was who wears purple pants? Like who?
Yeah, especially when you're on the road, like you're a fugitive and you gotta like steal pants or go to like a thrift store and buy pants. Where are you getting all these purple pants? There's no way.
Who in the world wears purple pants? All right, so let's open up the book here. First page. Welcome to Middleton, population 4,917. The honorary Joseph Redward mayor. And this is a small town in Arizona, correct? I believe it's Arizona.
Yep.
And the first page of the narration here, someone is speaking, and it's a pastor, like a priest.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it's a little weird that he says, I've heard a great deal of talk that Middleton is a dying town. You know, now it's true. We have a lot going against us. Population's dropping below 5,000, I understand. Well, yeah, because it says right on the sign, 4,917. So either they update that every day, or it's been way below that for a while since that sign's been made. You know, so that was a weird thing.
Oh, well. Could be like Twin Peaks. Never update that thing.
Yeah, that'd have been better. But this priest, he's trying to tell people in Middleton, hey, hey, we're good folks, you know? we gotta keep our hopes up, right?
Like 3 of you here, but maybe 4.
He's giving them a little pep talk.
Tell your neighbors.
Yeah. But here, this priest, though, deep down, Jank, he's got a secret. What's going on? Not like the normal priest you think have secrets. No, not like that. What other secret does he have?
This is a more wholesome secret, I guess. He's been embezzling money from the church. He says he's going to, put it back at some point, but just never did. We don't really find out what he was doing with that money, but he's afraid that the roosters are coming home to roost, or however that phrase goes right now, because it seems like they're onto him.
Yeah, what was it? I was assuming he had a gambling problem. You know, he's running.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He's running around to bookies. I don't know. He loves his gambling,
like going on binges or something. I don't know.
Now we open up with this pastor guy. I take it this is the first time we've ever seen him. Do you
I believe so. Yeah. I think this is the first time we see him.
Because this issue is just setting up a bunch of little supporting characters here. And the next one we see is a lady who, she's a defense attorney, correct? Yes, I think I recall this. And she's like, doesn't want to go into work because she's just like, bitter and jaded about her job. Like, why am I defending these terrible people, you know? And, but her husband's like, hey, you gotta get to work, you know? It's your job. So,
and Diane.
Yeah, it's Middleton. You got to do it. All right, so now we see this older couple, and they've got like a teenage daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And she's real mad because they don't want her dating her boyfriend. He's like a ne'er-do-well. He has a motorcycle, Jack. He's trouble.
I know. They're the worst kinds of people. You can't trust them.
And she storms out of the house, though. And next thing we see is a Phoenix Sun, the newspaper truck. It's on fire. And one of the headlines of the paper,
on fire?
Gamma bomb stolen. Uh-oh. Look out.
Dun, dun, dun.
And now we cut to old Mushroom Head Leader. And he's sitting, he's sitting with his legs up on a fancy computer with an iPad in his hand. Apparently, look, the leader invented the iPad all these years earlier. And he's typing in newspaper. He's pressing a red button like he's wiping out the newspapers. And notice that Todd McFarlane, he's working smarter, not harder in this issue, because this same panel the leader's used multiple times, at the bottom of the pages. But
hey, when you're doing an oversized issue, you still got to meet that monthly schedule.
Yeah, I don't blame him. So, all right, next we get a big splash page here, Jank. Says Closing Curtain is the name of the issue. And we get someone here with a rubbery face. It looks like Peter Parker, but no, it's not Peter Parker. It's Rick Jones.
Yeah.
And Rick
His hair
Jones,
is so much wavier than Peter Parker's.
His rubbery face is screaming, what? And why don't you take it from here, Jank? Tell us what happens here.
So Clay Quartermain, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, he's driving the bus, and he hears Rick say, what? And he freaks the fuck out and slams on the brakes. And everyone kind of falls over. And he's like, what? What's happening? And then Bruce is like, I was just telling him that we're having a baby. And yeah,
Bruce and
like,
Betty.
happy. Yeah.
He put a baby in Betty. Now, this
right.
Clay, you mentioned Clay Quartermain, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Can you tell us more about this character here? Do you know more about him?
I remember him being a prominent character in this arc. I believe he's killed not too long after this, or at least at some point. I don't think he's still around anyway. I think he wasn't much of a character before this. I think he was mainly invented for this arc. I don't think he was part of like the, Steranko Shield or anything like that, but yeah, he's kind of a Shield agent who kind of, hung around with Bruce Banner and this crew during this era.
Yeah, we should say this crew. You mentioned it earlier. They're the Hulkbusters, right? Is that what they are?
Yeah.
Now, explain to the people explain to them what the Hulkbusters are.
Yeah. So, when Bruce Banner came back and was separated from the Hulk, he basically then devoted his life. He's like, like the Hulk's out there. I gotta like put a stop to him. So he started the team of Hulkbusters here. To go after the Hulk. And then of course he realized, I need to be reunited with the Hulk. So, I guess this was probably a bad idea, but he's still kind of, even once he becomes the Hulk again, he kind of takes it under his wing to, kind of deal with his team. Cause some of them kind of go rogue and they just become a little bit too bloodthirsty. And so he's got to clean up his own messes a little bit.
Yeah. 2 of the original Hulkbusters people are now working for the leader, we find out, right?
Yeah.
We'll encounter them here in a minute.
Yep.
But the other members of this team are just Rick Jones, Betty, and Clay Quartermain, and Bruce Banner. They're the 4 members, and they drive around in a van like the Partridge Family. But this van is all blue and has a giant windshield in the front.
Yeah. A little bit. It's like a bubble car. Like the Jetsons or something like that.
So sadly, he slams on the brakes and everyone goes tumbling around inside the van, and now Betty had a miscarriage because of this.
Yeah. I mean, you're not far off. She does end up having a miscarriage, but
I was going to ask what happens to the baby.
Yeah, that was actually, I believe that was in the Bob Harris issue. Weirdly enough, that was that Bob Harris 360 that Peter David did. It's revealed that she had a miscarriage.
What if Peter David didn't want that to happen and Bob Harris just did that?
I wonder if that's.
I'm sure he cleared that. I'm sure he cleared it, Peter David. You can't make something like that. Yeah.
The weird thing is though, later on, I believe in the 90s, there was a Hulk book. They put out novels and that kind of thing, especially in the 90s for these characters. And there was a novel written by Peter David that kind of explores the alternative. Like, what if they did have a baby and actually they have twins, and like one of the twins ends up getting, abducted into the future and raised by the Maestro and becomes evil.
He gets abducted into the future and raised by Bob Cobb, the Maestro from Seinfeld.
Different Maestro.
I didn't know there was another Maestro.
Future self, yeah. When the Hulk, the Hulk becomes kind of the leader of the apocalyptic wastelands in the future, and he called himself the Maestro. He's got a big beard, kind of bald.
Oh, no idea. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, so everyone's tumbling around in this van, and we get a panel of Bruce Banner upside down, his glasses knocked screwy, and of course we get Felix the cat, because Todd McFarlane's got to draw Felix the cat, right?
Yep. Sounds like something to do.
It's kind of nice when it's a little background image and you got to find it. This one's right in your face. Felix the cat is right there. Like, how do they explain that Felix the cat is in this van with them?
He's probably stuck to the windows like Garfield.
I suppose. All right, so everybody picks themselves off the ground, and Betty, I got to tell you, she does not look happy that she's pregnant.
No, pretty dour. I guess you can understand why. She's married to the Hulk, essentially.
But they're not married.
Bruce when they
were
separated.
They are married?
Yep. They got married after because basically when he was starting the Hulkbusters and he was separated from the Hulk, they had like a quickie marriage. Like, all right, we're going to be together forever. And then he had to, remerge with the Hulk, and things kind of soured. The issue right before this one, 344, is actually really good. Cause she kind of tells the Gray Hulk, she's like, I want to talk to the Gray Hulk, and talk to him, tell him about the baby and stuff like that. And, they the Gray Hulk has no time for her. Like, he just does not have any patience for Betty. And it kind of that they finally have like a heart to heart, and like you can kind of tell that they finally made some progress in coming to some kind of an understanding. It's really a well written issue. But unfortunately the leader's not in that one, so we had to do this one.
Plus Clay Quartermain is in this issue, so we got to do that too.
Yep.
All right, so then they're congratulating him about the baby, but again, Betty doesn't look too happy about it. But then they hear over the news that some gamma ray bomb was stolen from a military.
Turns out the military's still making gamma bombs. Oops.
Yeah, so now we cut back to a new scene here. Did you notice this issue has like black gutters between the panels?
Yeah.
It was unusual. So now we see a new character here, another one of these little supporting characters. This guy's an encyclopedia salesman. Man, that's a job that just went out of style, huh?
Yeah, you never hear about that anymore.
Yeah. The internet kind of killed
the door-to-door salesman has kind of been killed overall, I think.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, there's creeps coming to your house. But he pulls up along some guys digging in the yard in some grass there, and like, hey, what are you doing? When you want to buy some encyclopedias? And no, we're just digging some holes here, and we're burying something. Some guy paid us to do it. What do we know? But we sure don't want to buy encyclopedias. And then we cut to the leader again, the same panels from before. But now he's got a little thing on his screen that says newspaper and then radio. And now he's clicking a button to take over the radio airwaves, I guess.
Yeah.
This leader's always got a plan. So the Hulkbusters
blocking out any forms of communication from the outside that would let the people of Middleton know what's going on.
So the Hulkbusters show up at that military base where the gamma bomb got stolen, and they sneak in because this Clay Quartermain fella, he's on the outs with S.H.I.E.L.D. He's falling.
Like S.H.I.E.L.D. has been dissolved at this point.
I don't know, because then he calls Nick Fury later, and they show up. I think he did something that got him in trouble, I guess. But anyway, he shows his ID, even though he's technically not working for S.H.I.E.L.D. at the moment. And they get him into the military base. And they're walking around the military base to see a big hole in the wall. And then they say, they show inside is a sight that makes the nightmare of my life until now seem like a light daydream. General, can you describe the attackers better? I got tased. Bruce, you okay, Bruce? And I guess we're to believe that these are all gamma bombs?
Yep. Yeah, they're burying 5 gamma bombs, I believe, in different places around town.
Well, but why? No, they're not burying the gamma bombs. They got one gamma bomb, the leader. He's burying these things around town to create a force field around the town.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But when he's looking in this storage facility, we see all these like canisters. And we see him shocked. He's like, oh my God. And there's a great picture there of Bruce Banner. It looks like Willie from Alf. And but they never mention that these are all gamma bombs. I guess we're just supposed to understand that they're gamma bombs. Like, and that's why Bruce is so shocked. Because, like, are we missing a page? Because, like,
I don't think
it goes from 9 to 11, but I guess they're counting the ad as 10. Because the next panel, after he looks all exaggerated, we cut to the next page, and now they're looking at those videos of the former Hulkbusters now have all kind of weapons, and they busted into the plant to get the gamma bomb. So what is he surprised about? He's surprised about all the gamma bombs, or is he surprised that he's watching these videos and the former Hulkbusters broke in?
Yeah, I think he's surprised about the Hulkbusters. He doesn't realize, what's happened to them. Because the leader has transformed them from the forms that they were in. Because I believe the one guy, Larroquette, like, he was crippled and basically paralyzed, so he kind of became this rock guy. The leader encased him in like this giant rock kind of carapace.
Yeah, and that's terrible, by the way. That is like the worst superhero outfit. He's like a Gumby made out of rock, kind of like that, because it's like Eddie Murphy is Gumby, like his face is sticking out of like this rock costume. He just looks terrible. And so, all right, so we cut away from that. Now that they know these Hulkbusters are the guys who broke in, now, Jank, we cut to like a training exercise for the Hulkbusters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so describe these characters here.
All right, so we see the Hulk getting attacked, but it's just a robot version of the Hulk. So we got Redeemer here, Saunders. He's got like a golden armored suit that's got a lot of guns and kind of projectile weapons built into these kind of almost like Mega Man style Mega Busters, except that he's got his hands sticking out. He's
got like a clear glass dome over his head. Kind of like...
Yeah. Yep.
But then look at that guy next to him. How ridiculous is that? It's absurd. It just looks terrible. Like, how would you even describe that outfit? Just a rock formation?
I mean, yeah, he can form it into other things. Like, he can make arms and legs out of it.
It's terrible.
It's kind of like, it's just a floating potato head.
He's stuck in a tree stump. All right. But yeah, the leader is training these fellows, to do their mission. And then again, we get those same panels of the leader again, looking at his iPad with his feet up on the computer. And now, newspaper, radio, lie to Rock and Redeemer. That's next on his checklist. What did he lie to them about? He says, what did he say?
The
Rock guy. Because the guy in the Rock outfit is called Rock. And he says, after we've killed the Hulk, is that when you disconnect me from this getup? I don't want to spend the rest of my life in a floating rock shell. And leader says, oh, you won't, Rock. You have my word on it. So yeah, he lied to him. This leader, he's a tricky guy.
I like it though. He's very he's a whimsical villain. He's in a great time doing all these things. He's just kind of sitting back, working on his iPad and fucking having a good time, cackling away.
That is pretty funny. Usually I don't find Peter David funny at all, but I think that was kind of a good little joke there. All right, so Hulkbusters. Go ahead. He's
such a good, like, him and Joss Whedon to me are the guys that are the best at just blending tones. Like, you can have like very funny scenes, you could have very heartfelt scenes, you could have cool action scenes, and all be in the same issue and all just kind of flow without seeming weird. So that's why I love Peter David's stuff so much.
So the Hulkbusters are now driving down the road in a little van, and the leader comes on. He's coming on over the airwaves, and he's saying that he's hidden a gamma bomb in the town of Middleton, Arizona, and it is going to blow up. So, Does he say 24 hours? I think is that 24 hours or something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines.
It's set to detonate.
He says,
whatever that is.
He's like, you can be there before then, especially if you exceed 55 miles per hour.
Yeah, so they're debating what to do but why? Because they don't know whether to go save Middleton or what else did they want to do? Like secure those other gamma bombs or?
Yeah, what? Go investigate base, the break-in, try to, see what happened to the gamma bombs. But obviously, the leader probably isn't lying. I mean, I guess he could be just taking credit for it, but what are the chances of that?
So I like this panel here, even though Bruce Banner looks terrible again. But I like the shadow of the Hulk on the back wall there. Like he's getting angry. You can see, here comes, he's starting to get angry. And now we cut back to that teenage girl.
At this point, he doesn't change when he gets angry. At this point, he changes at night.
Yeah, that's right. It's sundown.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's weird too,
I mean, that's actually how it was in the original stories for the first 6 issues or so, or at least the first couple. I think he changed at night, and then they started changing when he got zapped by more gamma rays. He had a laser that would shoot him to turn him back, kind of thing.
I like the whole getting angry and changing. So,
I mean, it's pretty solid. It's hard to beat that.
So now we see this teenage girl who we met earlier, whose parents were mad at her for dating this ne'er-do-well on a motorcycle. And this guy's telling her, hey, Debbie, or whatever your name is, why don't you get your rubbery face over here on my motorcycle, and we'll go, and we'll get married tomorrow, right? We'll just head off. You're 18 years old, You're an adult. We can just leave. Let's go. So she's like, oh, really, Lou? She's very excited. But here the principal of the school is peeping out the window at him, and he calls the parents to warn them. And just as the mom's yelling into the phone about that, here the encyclopedia salesman comes to her door, and she just slams the door in his face, and he gets a bloody nose.
Yeah.
It's poor Sal.
I like that. This is a very hands-on principal. I don't even think he hears them talking about running away and getting married. I think he
can read his
kids. I gotta call their mom.
This guy's a creep. Yeah. So now we cut to that defense attorney lady who didn't want to go to work. And just in the middle of the courtroom, she says, you know what? My client's guilty. He's a terrible person. He did this. And the judge gets mad at her, and he throws her in jail for contempt of court. So now she's in the slammer. And we cut back to the priest who has the gambling problem or the drug problem or whatever he's doing for embezzling all that money. And he's praying to God. He's like, give me some guidance, He's on his last straw there. And now we cut back to the Hulkbusters, and they're driving around, and we see Leader again. And he's like, feed doctored newscast. What's the one right before that, though, on the list? What does that even say? Generators. Okay, that's a G.
Yeah, I think that's what they were planting around the town is generators for this field.
Yeah. I couldn't make out that first letter. It looked like an S. I'm like, what is going on here? All right. So the Hulkbusters go to City Hall, and they try to talk to the mayor. That mayor looks like somebody. I don't know who, but he looks like somebody. A little bald guy with glasses. And they're trying to tell him, hey, he's like, you got to evacuate this town. There's going to be a bomb going off at 10 o'clock tonight, And the mayor's not buying it because he's like, hey, this Clay Quartermain fella, do you work for S.H.I.E.L.D.? I'm going to call and find out if you work for S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever. And
he doesn't even know S.H.I.E.L.D. exists somehow. Apparently S.H.I.E.L.D. is so secretive that nobody even knows about them, which...
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I thought that was a thing, but I guess it is.
But when he's talking on the phone there, Please Stand By comes on the TV, and then Bruce Banner grabs the phone because he knows it's the Leader's on the phone with him. And he's like, hey, Leader, what are you doing? And Leader's like, hey, Bruce Banner, my old buddy, guess what? We're going to blow up that town. I want to blow up that town. You better get out of there. But the mayor doesn't believe the Hulkbusters, so he kicks him out of his office. So now the Hulkbusters are rolling down the highway there. And the Leader's got these fake newscasts going on, right?
Mm-hmm. The computer-generated newscaster made to look like the local town anchorman.
But the Hulkbusters are driving around town with like the Blues Brothers when they're trying to get sell tickets to that concert at the movie. They're driving around with the bullhorn and they're saying, "You got to evacuate this town. This town's going to blow up by 10 o'clock. You got to get out of here." And no one's believing them. They just think they're a bunch of cranks. And here the sun starts to go down, and Bruce Banner turns into the Hulk, Jank.
Yeah. Burst right out of the side of the van.
That seems like a poor decision. Just use the door, But no, he just jumps right through the side of the van, and because the cops are chasing him, because the cops don't want them causing a panic. But Hulk squashes one cop car, and the cops are fine though. He doesn't hurt the cops. But then he just grabs the Hulkbuster van and just jumps, and he's taking it out of town. He's going beyond the city limits to keep them safe.
Yeah, he smashes it so the wheels all fly off and they can't drive it at all.
Yeah. So yeah, that Hulk, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, I mean the Gray Hulk is, like I said, kind of a meanie, but he's not all bad.
So now Gray Hulk, he's going to go jump back to Middleton to figure out if he can find the bomb. And Clay Quartermain decides he's going to call S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury to try and help things out. And all right, Jank, so the Hulk shows up at, I don't know, he shows up at a warehouse or somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just a military base. And he punches in the wall. What does he find waiting for him?
There's a tape deck with a sign that says "Play Me Hulk." So, like someone in any good horror movie, like a Saw movie, you gotta press play if there's a tape that has your name on it.
And then we cut back briefly to those 4 supporting characters: the encyclopedia salesman, the attorney, the priest, and the teenage girl. Just checking in on them for one panel. But now we're back to the Hulk. And what does that message say when he presses play, Jack?
I have noticed that many so-called villains feel constrained to lay out their plans just before. Well, I think it then skips to. We can miss a little bit of it here.
Yeah.
But it says, "It is you, Hulk, who has defeated me time and again. It is the Hulk who must die, as you indeed will shortly after you hear this explanatory tape. Anything else would be unworthy of the leader. There are so many ways I could kill you, Hulk, but you've trapped me as much as I've trapped you. You see, a simple long-distance impersonal death just wouldn't be satisfactory. You must be beaten close up by people who, like myself, have reason to hate you. No androids or remote-controlled enemies will suffice. Your death must be truly worthy of a hatred as magnificent as ours. And so, without further ado, adieu."
Yeah, 2 different spellings of adieu there.
Yeah.
And so those former Hulkbusters, the Rock guy and the Redeemer guy with the guns, they attack the Hulk. And
Yeah.
they're going to kill the Hulk. I
Well,
just can't get past this guy in the floating rock thing. What are we doing?
I mean, look at him now, though. He's got arms and legs. He's cool.
But now look in the next panel. Look in the next panel. It's a floating potato again.
Yeah, well, you got to conserve your, your energy.
Pretty terrible. But the Hulk is fighting these guys. That Redeemer is shooting at him with lasers and stuff. Hulk does a Roman Reigns spear 2 weeks in a row. We've talked about Roman Reigns spears in the show. He takes out the Rock guy. Redeemer is still shooting at him, but Hulk says, "I'm getting angrier. I'm getting stronger. I want to take these bums out." So then the Hulk, we cut back to the Hulk there, and he's beating these guys up. And that Redeemer shoots him right in the face. It doesn't bother Great Hulk. He just smashes Redeemer's head against the ground, smushes his wrists to crush his guns, and he's just squeezing the Redeemer. He's like torturing him, basically, trying to get him to tell him where the bomb is,
He's having a good time. Like, he blasted in the face, and then he's just kind of smiling.
Now, could you tell what the heck happened here? This next sequence with this Rock guy? It took me a while to decode this.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the one panel. It's a little confusing where you see the Hulk kind of slam Redeemer into something, and it says "rips block." And unfortunately, I don't know, they just kind of drew a bunch of motion lines there. So I don't know if I'm assuming.
Here's what happened, Jack. I was able to decode this. So the Rock guy, we see him in the first panel there, just a big lump of rock. Then in the second skinny vertical panel, he's getting spikes on himself. And then that third panel is supposed to be him spinning like a top.
Yes. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Like Riptide from the Marauders.
Yes, exactly. And Hulk hears him coming, so he just swings the Redeemer around and slams him into the spinning Rock guy. But it's not exactly smooth storytelling there for that sequence. So
maybe not.
Yeah, you take the maybe out of that. So then Redeemer is like crushed, and Hulk's like, "Hey, look, you killed your buddy. That's a big mistake there, Rock. You killed your buddy." And now he's going to beat him. Could you tell what happens here in this third panel?
Yeah, I think he just kind of takes him and slams him on the ground real hard.
Yeah.
Slams him into his buddy's body.
But then the Rock guy just suddenly gets giant hands and arms again, and he's grabbing the Hulk, and he says, "I can tear you apart." But then Hulk says, "Not so fast, buddy," and he just rips his arm off.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
And it seems like it hurts just like losing an actual limb, because, yeah. Rock's pretty torn up about this.
And Hulk's taking great delight in that as well. You know, like you mentioned, this gray Hulk's a little nastier, so he's very happy. Yeah. So then he grabs the Rock guy and smashes him into the ground a few more times, like Loki in the first Avengers movie. And but then the leader shows up, Jank, and he's right there with the gamma bomb. And,
2.5 hours left to go till detonation time. So the leader then says, "When I saw you dismantling my creations, I knew I had to reluctantly matter transport myself out to intercede." Oh, so like at last. Quite. This, by the way, is the bomb you've been seeking. Over 2.5 hours left until detonation. I, of course, will be long gone, and you will be long dead. What? And the leader seems to grow to like massive size, like he's giant man, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is a new thing we've never seen the leader do. And it seems unlikely for him.
Yeah, they kind of explain it late, but then they don't. It doesn't really make sense either way. Because he's the giant leader, he just smacks the Hulk away, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then he's like stepping on him like a cockroach, and Hulk is squeezing his foot. And he's like, I don't get it. Why does he have this power? He's never been able to grow like this before. And Hulk like claps his hands real loud, and apparently it shocks the leader. And it was all just an illusion. All an illusion. Yeah. But if it was an illusion, how could he swat Hulk away like that?
Well, I don't know. I guess if you believe hard enough, it could be like, you know, in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, where there's like, if you die in your dream, you die in real life because you just got so scared.
So if you believe hard enough, the laws of physics and gravity do not work anymore. You can just, because Hulk is jumping at him, gets swatted back the other way. But all right, whatever. So Hulk is talking to the leader. There's hey, Hulk, look out, Rock's coming up behind you there. And Rock's turned his little potato outfit into a giant spike. And Hulk's like, I don't believe you, leader. You know, what are you going to tell me next? My shoe's untied? But before he can finish it, that giant rock spike gets stabbed right through the Hulk.
Yeah.
Right in the back and up through the belly. And we just get a silhouette of it happening, so that's pretty cool. And we see the green blood of the Hulk. You know?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of green blood.
It's a pretty cool shot. I like where you see the Hulk kind of in silhouette, but you see the green blood coming out. That's pretty cool.
Yep. And then leader says, all right, potato guy, let's get out of here. And he also takes Redeemer with him, and they like teleport away. But the Hulk still has 2 hours and 29 minutes to defuse this bomb, although now he's like dying because he's bleeding so much. He's leaving a trail of green blood behind him like a snail, like slime. He's crawling along the ground, trying to get to this bomb.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And
he starts talking to his mom, like his dead mom, and just like, I'm coming, Mom, coming for a visit. So it doesn't seem like he's thinking he's going to make it at this point.
But he's like, I got plenty of time, though, because 2.5 hours, I can get to the bomb, you know. I can just crawl my way there.
I can just do that, yeah.
But at this point, S.H.I.E.L.D. is now on the scene with Quartermain, and they're trying to, circle the town there. And the leader's back at his headquarters, and he's got his little iPad there. And now it says, activate generators. He did that. Next up is detonate bomb. He's like, no more Mr. Nice Guy there. So the generators that they were digging around the town, they were like force field things. So it makes a giant bubble over the town of Middleton. And just as Hulk is about to get to the bomb, he's just inches away. What does the leader do, Jank?
He presses the button and detonates the bomb. Detonate bomb prematurely is what it says on his list.
And we see Hulk saying,
jerk.
Hulk saying, uh-oh. And then we cut to Betty saying, Bruce. I guess she's just screaming because there's now a giant thing around the city. And then we see a huge explosion.
Yeah.
So everything inside.
2-page spread. Giant explosion.
And we get like floating panels of Rick Jones, Clay Quartermain, and Betty and the chaotic scene. And everything inside the bubble is like solid gray. And you can just tell there's smoke and dust coming out from underneath the force field kind of. There's been a huge explosion. So there it is. That's how it ends. The town of Middleton just got blown up and with the Hulk inside. And the Hulk already bleeding through the gut from being stabbed. So what a cliffhanger.
Yeah. It really is. I think in the next issue, actually, it's all kind of a congressional, hearing, kind of a debriefing of this whole event where they are talking to Clay Quartermain and those kind of people. And I don't think you even find out in the next issue, what happened to the Hulk. They really make you wait for it.
I believe I read you don't find out for a couple issues even, and that he survived, and that they don't explain how he survived for a few more issues after that even. So they kind of really...
Well, you do know he survives by 347. By 347, okay. He's in Vegas and kind of, Joe Fixit, I think, or at least on the way.
So that's how they transition him to Vegas after this? They just put him in?
Yeah, they don't reveal how he got out of there for a little while.
Okay, yeah, that's probably right. Yeah. And so apparently everyone in the town of Middleton is dead, except for 5 people, the 4 people we met.
Yeah, the main people we were seeing. Yeah. I think the couple, the 2 kids who were in love, I think both of them survived, actually.
Okay.
And yeah, then I think the preacher, the
encyclopedia guy.
Yeah, he gets kind of smart. I believe he gets kind of like the leader. He becomes very gamma smart. They all end up getting some kind of gamma powers. And yeah, the leader creates a whole new town of gamma irradiated people, and it really it doesn't come to a head until issue 400 or so. So it's kind of long-term setup here is what they're doing.
Yeah, isn't the town he creates under ice somewhere or something? Or
yeah, it was in Antarctica. Yeah.
Yeah. So did they ever explain why these people survived and no one else in the entire town survived?
I don't know. It's probably something to do with their genetic makeup. Okay. Anytime there's a virus, there's always somebody who's naturally immune to it or something like that.
All right. So there it is, Hulk 345. Yeah, Peter David, the writer here. This is fun. I like the planting the seeds of the people who survive. Getting introduced to them, and I like the whole leader blowing up the whole town. That's pretty great because usually, something like that happens. Now the Hulk stops it. He'll stop it. But no, town blew up.
Pretty big failure for the Hulk there.
Yeah.
He kind of messed it up real bad. But it's not like he couldn't have done anything differently, to be honest. He was there in plenty of time. The leader just was going to detonate the bomb anyway. So there's nothing he could have done, really. It was already.
I guess theoretically, if he beat the hell out of the leader there, right, and just detonated the bomb, because the leader was really there, right?
I think so. Yeah, I guess that is kind of a little unclear. He could have been manipulating on that whole thing from further away,
because he still had to go push the button to actually detonate the bomb. So if he beats the hell out of the leader, and he could have saved the day, but he didn't.
It's possible he could have had some kind of a backup, like one of those drinking birds, that put their head down. He could have those just waiting to go and press the button.
Yeah, the Redeemer and Rock, not a fan of those guys. That potato guy's the worst. It's so terrible.
Redeemer's all right though.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Even though, and this Redeemer is dead, but they end up bringing back. The next Redeemer is.
No.
It's Thunderbolt Ross, who at this point of the story is dead, I believe. So, but the leader brings him back. Man? Yeah, the leader brings him back to life, and it makes him the new Redeemer.
So he becomes Red Hulk after he's the Redeemer?
Yeah, yep. Long after. Many, many years.
So, yeah, I like the whole idea of the story, and I thought David did a good job with it. No real complaints.
This is kind of the culmination of what he's been doing with the Hulk so far, kind of. It's just kind of all been building towards this. And then it gets him to that next stage, which is the Joe Fixit era. So it's pretty good. I enjoyed it all the way around. I like the callbacks to him thinking about his mom before he dies, and just the little bits of character you get with Betty not being happy about the pregnancy, and it's good. It's everything I like about Peter David comics. And the leader was just having a good time and just kind of being fun. So, that's always good.
Now the art. I hate it. There is a few good panels, but man, I just can't stand it. I just, I don't know. Farland's acquired taste, and I lost it when I was 12. I just do not have it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you hate anything that's remotely cartoony, which is really more my value.
Well, probably who was that fella for the DC book? It was cartoony, but it was awesome. I can't remember his name though, but he's very famous. It was the Black Canary issue we did.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a very famous artist, and I'm terrible for not remembering his name. But anyway, that was awesome. But yeah, I just, just too many needless lines going everywhere. The faces look awful. Any human just looks terrible.
Oh, I mean, Saunders, the guy in the Redeemer armor, I thought looked really good.
Because he's wearing armor. But, I just hate it. I hate it.
I don't agree. Like, I love it so much that I find it hard to believe anyone could hate this.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Looking at it, it's hard to believe.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's right up my alley. It was when I was a kid, and it still is. So I love the leader looks so good with that cool mustache.
I don't think so. I prefer my old school leader with the big vertical head. That's the guy I like.
Well.
But at least there's an explanation for why.
Different folks.
Yeah, I mean, it's subjective. You know, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I don't like it. You love it? I hate it. So.
Yeah, if this were Siskel and Ebert, we'd have a differing opinion on this one. One thumbs down.
But overall, I mean, it's an interesting story. I can tolerate the art for the most part. There were some good panels in here, a couple good things, but overall, it's just not my thing. I prefer storytelling over style, and so I don't know. Overall, for the issue,
I guess I would say I am the opposite. I'll forget a bit of storytelling confusion for good panels.
Which is basically 90s comic book art. Early 90s comic, that was the whole style.
That's why it's my favorite era.
Yeah, so I grew up on stuff in the late 70s, exactly. Early 80s, where it's like, John Romita Sr., John Buscema, that kind of stuff is what I love. Yes. So, this overall, though, Jank, for this issue, 1 out of 10, what do you think?
Oh, I mean, I'm probably going to be way higher than you on this one, but I'm going to go 8. This is a good comic from one of my favorite eras of comics, so I'm going to give it an 8.
I'll give it a 6, but if it had a different artist, it would probably be an 8. There's just so much I did not enjoy about the art, but
okay, that's mean, but I guess fair.
Yeah, but I like the story. Like, it was well done. So, but was it long? Pack a lunch. You're reading this book. So, all right, Jank.
They covered a lot of ground, though. You had to set up a bunch of characters and, blow up a whole town. So that's got to be something you put a little extra effort into.
So do you, I guess you like David also on X Factor, right?
Yeah, to be honest, I think I said this last week, but I've come to the realization that Peter David, I think without a doubt, is my favorite comic book writer. Really, all of the books I've ever read by him, even things that I didn't particularly have a major interest in originally, I've ended up liking a lot. So he was great on X Factor, both runs when he did it in the 90s, and it came back in like 2006 and did a nice big run there with a completely or mostly different team. That was great. I haven't read all the old school Spider-Man 2099 stuff, but he did a couple of more recent Spider-Man 2099 series that I loved quite a bit. When they brought Ben Reilly back to life, he did who's the Spider-Man clone, in case you forgot. But, they did a Scarlet Spider, series that lasted about 24 issues. That was, Peter David. And it was really good too. Like, no complaints about that. He also did, a run of Captain Marvel, the Rick Jones and the son of Captain Marvel were combined in one body, kind of similar to what he had going on with Marvel. So, he did a good run on that one. That also, again, I didn't know. I at that point probably barely knew who the original Captain Marvel was. Certainly didn't care about his son. But that became one of my favorite comic books of the time. So it's really all just to do with how much I enjoy Peter David's writing.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Peter David. Like, I'm very limited in what I know. I know I owned an X Factor book from the 90s that he did that was very good.
Oh, yeah, the therapy one?
Yes, it was the therapy issue. Yeah. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah.
And otherwise, the only Peter David I've ever read is on this show or the Spider Cast. And the first Hulk issue we did, I did not enjoy. Then all the Spider-Man issues we've done on the Spider-Cast, I hated every one of them. So I was like, what these are all terrible. But, so I don't know. I just need to read more Peter David, I guess. I'd like to read some Joe Fixit stuff when he's out in Vegas.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do that one of these days.
So, all right, there it is. Incredible Hulk issue 345. Next week, Jank, we're going to do a book that I've mentioned on here a few times because I never knew what it was. And it's like, let's do this. From 1984, I believe, we're going to go Jack of Hearts issue 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I've had it on a list to do for a couple years now. Yeah, who in the blue hell is Jack of Hearts? Well, we're going to find out next week right here on this show. And
he's a character I've encountered several times, but really don't know much about. So I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, we'll get at the whole history of Jack of Hearts because this isn't his first appearance, but this was a 4-issue miniseries he did, written by Bill Mantlo. And we had been doing so many Bill Mantlo stories because he wrote so much in the late 70s that I kind of always kept pushing off Jack of Hearts. But if you recall, Bill Mantlo wrote that Mr. Fish issue of Power Man. So I'm very excited. Yeah, I know. I'm very excited to read more Bill Mantlo. So we'll do Jack of Hearts issue 1 next week here on the big show. And I think the artist is somebody named like Joe Freeman or something like that, who I have never heard of. So we'll get the history of him as well. All right, so that's next week.
Very good.
Until then, check us out on YouTube and Spotify and everywhere. And until next,
check out the Instagram.
Oh yeah, how's the Instagram page going?
The Ryan followed us this week.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
How many followers you got over there on the Instagrams?
I think 3, including me. So
there you go.
Really going like gangbusters.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, get a new follower every 2 weeks. You'll be doing great.
Yep.
Oh man,
exponential growth.
It's pretty much what we're doing on YouTube too. The same steady growth. Maybe one new view every couple of weeks. But check us out over there. And until next week, don't get any jank on you.